Hello, my fellow movie fans, and welcome to another episode of A Feast of Films Theatre with your hosts, Matthew Ayalew and Ethan R. Hill. How's that? That was good?
Oh, yeah. Classic. Classic. What's going on, my fellow movie fans? Welcome to another episode of A Feast of...
What the hell was that?
How is that any worse? How is that any better than my...
Were you playing a didgeridoo? Welcome.
Welcome to another episode of A Feast of Films. I'm your host, Matt Ayalew. With me, as always, is the other guys over there, Ethan R. Hill, Jesse R. Prosser. Good to have you guys
refuse to
here.
acknowledge you. We are so upset with you.
And I'm acknowledging that was funny. That was amazing.
That's actually kind of like back to my cow days. Like,
Your cow.
Yeah,
Wait,
I'll explain that shit.
Oh, hold up. What?
I'll explain that shit in a second. Today we're talking about comedies, just so y'all know, and
That's
the
appropriate.
comedies that shaped us. That's kind of the theme we're going on here. But yeah, okay. So my cow days.
Yes,
So
please explain.
I used to do this cow impression that was pretty much like exactly like an actual cow. Like if I mooed at cows, they responded. They're like, "What in the Sam hell is going on over here?" They're looking around all confused and shit. In grade 9, I literally like entered a talent show and did that, and everyone lost their minds. I literally just went out and mooed, and people were like, "Wah!"
Oh my god. And it's appropriate. Your shirt is black and white like
Yeah,
a cow.
yeah. It's like
Like
the
a dairy
funniest
cow.
thing, but it's whatever. It's that same kind of like vocal thing. It's like that getting like that low and like the rumble kind of going.
Yep.
But I don't
Oh,
do it
yeah.
anymore. But like, yeah, back in
I'm
my
retired.
days when I did cow impressions.
Back he was 2 days from retirement.
Oh shit! And then like one of the people, so Dale actually was she was like the massage therapist for my wife and stuff too for a little bit. Like she would go like, and it was just like because my wife just went there and then she was
Yeah.
like, "Oh yeah, Dale, apparently like she knows you from school," and she was like, "Oh, okay, that's interesting." But then like she told her like, "Yeah, Matt does these cow impressions." So my wife comes home, she's like, "Do the cow impression." I was like, "No, go away. I don't do that anymore."
I left
I'm
that life behind. I left that life behind me.
I'm retired. Anyway,
Amazing.
so that weird ass rumble, man. That's a little bit
Fair-
back from the cow days.
fair-
It's back from the cow days.
Fair enough. I'm glad I got an explanation because otherwise I would just be like the whole time.
I should have just left it. Yeah, those are from my cow days. What?
I would've-
Moving
I would've-
on.
I would have just kept bringing it up.
Hey!
I just
Way
want
to hand the
to
door.
Uh,
My
I
kid's
just
in
want-
the door.
I just want to know about the cow thing.
He's like, "What the hell are you talking about, man?"
Comedy movies are great, but I just want to know about the cow thing.
It was a
What are you
ridiculous
talking
time in
about?
my life. I don't even know how I just started doing it, man. I was
was
at
a whole
like
thing.
I was at like my aunt's farm and I just started mooing at cows because I was like, I bet I could do because I was all into like dinosaur impressions. I'm like, I could probably do a cow.
Oh
too.
yeah, your alien
Figured
ants
it out,
farm.
man. My what?
No one gets that reference.
Your alien ants farm.
No one gets that reference.
The band Alien Ant Farm.
Name a
No.
song they did.
You've been hit by. You've been struck by
Name a
a
song
smooth
that wasn't
criminal.
That's
name a song
Michael
that wasn't a
Jackson.
cover.
They did a cover. That's the only song I know from them.
the only
Okay.
song
Well,
anyone
then
knows
who's
from
gonna
that.
know that? Name a song.
That's the
Smooth
only
Criminal.
song.
That was Michael
Yes.
Jackson.
Smooth
Well,
Criminal,
they did a
yes.
cover.
Yeah, that's the one Alien Ant Farm song I know, and it's a cover.
Again, it's the only one that anyone knows.
Yep.
You've been hit by, you've been struck
been
by
struck by
a smooth criminal.
The copyright strike.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, we just got copyright strike, guys. It was way
Why
too
can't
good.
it be- Why can't it be September 23rd already?
Why?
Because Doom Patrol.
Oh right, Doom Patrol is fantastic.
Freaking Doom Patrol.
This is now the Doom Patrol podcast. I want to talk about Doom Patrol.
Our Lord and Savior, Doom Patrol.
Anyway, Matt.
Anyway,
you should. Complete side note, Matt. You should watch Doom Patrol. But yes, let's
well, I
continue.
know. It's definitely a show I have on my list.
It's so good. But speaking of shows that are really funny,
Yeah. Yeah, comedies. That's what we're talking about. Speaking of shows that are fun, I'm like, yes. Oh yeah, comedies. That's what we're talking about today. So
Why are
yeah,
any of us talking
comedies.
about comedy?
Comedies that shaped you. So like, what are some of the comedic things, or whether it could be like shows, it could be movies, it could be people. What are just like some comedy things that really you think like structured and fundamentally created your own sense of humor out of it?
I think my biggest influence is me because I'm a joke.
I thought you were gonna say because I'm so funny, but it's like, I'm a joke. Like, oh,
Dude,
fair
my
enough.
life is a joke.
I wake up, I look in the mirror, and I'm like, God damn, that's pretty funny.
That's pretty funny.
How am I still here? What? Where is the punchline?
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for the punchline.
Existence is the punchline. Like, oh.
Yeah. That sounds like a terrible like Joker fan would say, like, life is a punchline.
Pretty sure that's the thing Joker's actually said.
Probably, yeah.
We live in
Oh.
a society. Wasn't that what everyone was all?
Yeah.
I
God
remember,
damn it.
man, like Justice League
In a
coming out.
society.
It's like that trailer. We live in a society. People are like, "Oh my god, he said we live in a society," and I was like,
That-
"I don't get it, man." Like, that seems like a very accurate statement. I don't understand.
It made me so angry because I'm like,
People
Zach,
just lose
why
it.
would you make the Joker say a damn meme that everyone's been associated with the Joker for years? It's like, why would you do that? Why would you?
Because he
I've
got
never
so
even
deep
seen
into
that
the
meme. I
kids.
just had no idea what was going on.
Yeah,
I thought it was
it's
some
like,
from the comics. I was like, oh.
Nope, not even.
No,
No, it's just a meme that people associate with the Joker because he's friggin' weird. It's a weird counterculture thing where people are like, "Oh, the Joker's the real sane one." It's like, no, he's insane. Jesus. Anyways,
Fair enough.
I don't know if I should go first with giving my answer for the comedy thing because like my answer is gonna be very long and convoluted.
okay.
I'll fully admit that, man. I have a long history of comedy and comedians and like just who I've been exposed to over the years, and none of it's gonna make sense to anybody. So I don't know if I should go first.
Let's start with Prosser. I
Okay.
think when we're talking about Star Wars, we did start with you quite a bit, so we'll start with Prosser. We'll switch it up here.
Yeah, I'm down. Like, do you want to do it like I'll talk about a movie and then we move on, or like just like
Yeah, or a movie, comedy, influence. Yeah, whatever, man.
well, because like
Well,
growing
Prosser
up-
isn't exactly a funny guy, so I don't know if we can really.
yes,
He's super serious. He never makes any jokes.
it's very true. I
He's
am.
just he grumpy.
I don't
all the
even
time,
think I've
too.
seen him laugh once on this thing.
No, like
Oh.
well, you know, Grumpy Cat, right?
Yeah.
Rest in peace. But like,
that's me.
he looks exactly like Grumpy
Just
Cat.
inspiration.
It's me incarnate.
There's pictures of him compared to
Like
Grumpy Cat.
if there was a cat that was a combination of Grumpy Cat and the cat from the Hang in There Kitty posters, that's me in a nutshell.
That's
It's
you.
like,
just hanging for dear life with a big frown on your face,
oh god, this would happen.
like Oscar the Grouch.
Yeah. Also,
Him,
Also,
he's wearing green.
Yeah, the cat is also green, like Oscar the Grouch.
Let's see, what other comparisons are there to you and your
Anyway,
your grumpiness?
but no, it's like, so for me growing up, I was actually like, I mean, obviously, like, I watched a lot of like more classic television because my parents grew up with more of the 50s stuff, so like TV Land was always
Yeah,
a constant in our house, and I'd watch
Deja
a
Vu. That
Fair enough.
Deja Vu, 100%. Like, so a lot of my sense of humor does lean more towards like kind of old school style of comedy.
Is this why we get each other?
Probably, like, because you're into a bunch of old shit, and I was
It's true.
I was raised on a bunch of old shit. But as far as movies are concerned, like, I definitely watched a lot of like 80s comedies that I probably shouldn't have watched at the age I was at. Like, Caddyshack is definitely one of the big ones for me.
Oh,
where
yeah.
it's just like,
Never seen it.
oh man, it is so funny. Like, there are so many, like, that's it, I don't want to talk too much about it, but like, that movie has so many different like styles of like joke in them. Like, it's a is Caddyshack National Lampoon? I'm trying to remember now.
I don't know.
I want to say it is. But obviously you got like Rodney Dangerfield, you've got Bill Murray is in it, friggin' Chevy Chase. Like, you've got so many different like styles of comedian, in that film. And like when I was young, like I just ate it up. And like when I was young, of course, when you're younger and you watch movies like that, you definitely get more of like the more slapsticky kind of humor
Mm-hmm.
and like the way that people talk, that sort of thing. And I think a lot of the time, the fun of those movies, when you watch them at a young age and then you revisit them as an adult, is you're like, oh, there's a lot of like really funny like jokes and clever dialogue going on here that completely flew over my head when I was younger.
Right. Yeah.
So like,
yeah.
so like rewatching Caddyshack, like there's just so many jokes that like not just like in like the more slapsticky stuff that like Bill Murray's doing, but just like the dry humor that Chevy Chase has. And then of course you've got Rodney Dangerfield and he's doing his thing, he's making jokes like, oh, look at this hat here, I wouldn't be caught dead wearing that. Looks over at the guy, oh, looks good on you though, and fucking rolls his eyes and shit. Like you got a nice you had like a weird combination of those, and like
Yeah.
and I think it's like I grew up watching a lot of like different different comedians and like with very distinctive voices. And I think that's partially why like a lot of my humor also comes from like putting on impressions or like doing funny voices, things like that. Because like a lot of those, I watch a lot of stuff like that growing up, and I'm just like, oh yeah, there's the voice when you're doing comedy is so important for me as well. So like just the way something is said can be as much a part of the joke as what you are saying.
For sure.
So I think Caddyshack's definitely a part of that, along with the slapstick, things like that.
Three Stooges.
Three Stooges, of course. Yeah. Actually, funny enough, like Three Stooges actually isn't something I really started watching more until I got a bit older.
Really?
Yeah, like you would
Goodness.
you would assume like because I styled my hair after all Three Stooges.
Except for Mo.
I styled my hair after all three of them.
Yeah, except
for Mo, the one with the
Mo,
full head of hair.
except Mo. Apparently, there's a lot of Shemp going on there. Mostly Larry. But anyways,
a bunch of curly.
Yeah. But no, like, so I would definitely say Caddyshack is up there. Like, it's just one of my favorite comedies. Along with like Christmas Vacation, is like that one's definitely National Lampoon. Like,
Have you just always like, without actually being a fan, just been a fan of Chevy Chase?
Yes, honestly, I've been a fan of Chevy Chase for a long time. Which again, like, you get into like, it's actually again the main reason I watched Community. Initially, I'm just like, oh my god, Chevy Chase is in this show.
Yeah,
and then you end up falling in love with all the other characters as well. And then eventually you're just like, oh, I hate what they did with Pierce. And then he left because behind the scenes reasons. But that's not what we're talking about today. but like, I've been a fan of Chevy Chase's style of comedy literally since I was a kid.
Have you seen Fletch?
I haven't seen Fletch.
Me neither.
And I need to see it because apparently that's like his magnum opus. It's like just a really funny movie. But like, I've seen all the Vacation movies to one degree or another. Like, and honestly, like the first one, a lot of people would say is the best one. But Christmas Vacation, I watch almost on a yearly basis.
Christmas Vacation is pretty solid.
Oh yeah,
It is a really solid one too. Yeah, absolutely.
It is also one of the rare cases where like a sequel to a comedy is better than the original, and I stand by this. I think Christmas Vacation is the best one of those four movies easily. Like it not only is it a great it's a great holiday movie, but just like it has, again, it's a joke a minute kind of stuff. Like it doesn't let you rest. Like even when there's more like the sentimental stuff, there's still funny shit going on,
right?
Or they'll punctuate it with a joke. Like I think I can think specifically. There's the section of the movie where Chevy Chase gets like locked up in the attic, and he's like, "Well, I got nothing better to do," and he finds like the old family like Super 8 things, and he's watching that, and it's like this reminiscing moment, and it's like kind of sweet and everything. And then it ends that scene with them coming home and going to put stuff up in the attic, and he set himself up on the staircase.
Yeah,
so they pull it down, he just falls.
Yeah.
Just immediately like ends the scene on like a really hilarious joke. It's like so sentimental. All of a sudden, oh!
in Community, in that episode with the
yeah, where he's
watching like the commercial when he was a kid.
Yeah,
is that a reference?
Honestly, it could be because like that is definitely one of the more memorable scenes. Except like again, it goes in a completely different direction.
It goes into a very sinister direction.
100%. But like, yeah, no, I thoroughly the scene where, like again, like, and a lot of things I love in comedy are when things are taken to the absolute extreme, regardless of like how realistic things were.
Right.
But you don't like Will Ferrell.
Oh, that's extreme yelling and things like
But
that.
that's
Like,
what Chevy Chase does most of the time.
Chevy Chase doesn't yell all the time. Like he like when Chevy Chase starts to yell, it is a big thing. Like again, when he is at the end of the movie and he's at the end of his rope.
When he gets the gift from
Yes,
his boss. And
yes,
it's like,
the putting of the like it's like the putting of the month club. And he says that's the gift that keeps on giving, Clark. And he just goes in that speech of like how much he hates his boss because the whole movie is building up to like
ridiculous shit.
the brainless, heartless, dickless, just piece of monkey shit he is. Like, but the whole movie is like it's the tension of the holidays. Like, oh, his family is there, and like they're not. Some of them aren't getting along, and nothing is going right. And he just wants this idyllic family vacation. And like the whole thing, the thing that's getting him through is like, oh, I'm gonna get my Christmas bonus. I'm gonna build this swimming pool for my family. I'm gonna like provide this great thing. And that's the one thing keeping him together. And the second that's taken away from him, he just loses his shit. And it works.
It makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, and it's
if that's your one
highly-
like hope of light, like
Yeah.
and it's just gone, like extinguished, like with a pudding
Yeah.
of the month club. I'd be,
Yeah,
I would
that
like
would-
murder shit too.
And like again, that movie is also like again like because Christmas was a big thing growing up in my family, and like I would describe a lot of our Christmases as very like National Lampoon-esque in a lot of ways.
Are you Chevy Chase in those situations too?
Oh no, I'm not Chevy Chase. My mom is Chevy Chase in those.
Are you Rusty?
I'm Rusty. But it's like just like this kind of shit. Like you always want the holidays to be a certain way, and maybe this is more of a Christmas discussion than a comedy discussion, but I think it goes hand in hand. But it's like just the ridiculous shit that ends up happening when you get so many of these people together and like you're trying to have this idyllic thing happen and then reality always like rears its ugly head. Like again, you get the perfect Christmas tree. Oh, there's a squirrel in it, and now it's running around the house. Oh, and the dog is attacking the squirrel now. And it's like
Now the tree's on fire.
now the tree's on fire. Like all these things that stack on top of each other, and you're still trying to have this thing be like so perfect, and that's where a lot of the comedy comes from. It's just like you think you're getting a little bit ahead. Oh, the again, like when you're talking extremes, the like they build up the Christmas lights on the house throughout so much of the movie, and they finally get to it, and it's like it's not working. And you find out it's like a switch inside the house, and all the comedy with like the neighbors getting blinded and like
the interaction with him and the neighbors are hilarious.
Oh,
and he
the
comes out with
hoit-
the chainsaw and the hockey mask.
the hoity-toity neighbors. Yeah, where he goes and steals a tree from them, and like it falls into their house, and he just slowly drags it out of their living room. It's so good. It's so good. Like, and when I talk about like something like, despite how realistic things were before, just going to its extreme, the sledding scene where he coats the like dish that he's gonna slide down in like cooking oil. I think it's like cooking oil or something like that. He's like, so it goes like super fast.
Super fast, yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, you think he's gonna like start going and it'll like go out of control, but no. Instead, what they do, he starts sliding, and then it like cuts, and it's like a jet engine went off, and it's like this fiery trail going down the hill. It's like, oh my god, because like, and like especially if you've done a lot of like sledding down extremely like steep hills, like I grew up in the country, you do that shit all the time. It's just what you do. Like sometimes it could feel like that. I was like, oh god, I am going way too fast. So I enjoy that kind of stuff, like the visual comedy aspect of it.
Right.
Is always super strong. Like, so like yeah, I would say Christmas Vacation, definitely always one that I love watching for various different reasons. And this one might be a bit of an off the wall pick. Actually, do we want to wait for Ethan to come back? Because I think he'll have something to contribute to this next one as well.
Yeah, we can wait for excuse me, I'm getting a lot of I'm doing that cow impression and is bringing up all that. stuff going on.
all that chud coming up.
Yeah, I had to like chew up some more of my lunch. Actually, I haven't had lunch yet. I'm kind of getting hungry. Yeah,
my
no,
God.
we can definitely wait for Ethan to come back. I agree with you, man. Those National Lampoon Vacation movies were super funny. I wouldn't say they necessarily, I saw them later on.
Right.
I didn't see them when I was younger, so they weren't like foundational comedy things for me. But yeah, no, I absolutely love them, and I love Chevy Chase. He's so funny in them, and
man.
damn, he's old now.
He certainly is.
Like with Chevy Chase, it was one of those things, especially when Community started. I remember like it was those things where you see actors in their films from however many years ago, and that's just how they stay. That's the age they
That's
stay
who they are
eternally in your head,
brain.
right? And they're
And then
like
you s-
Chevy Chase and Community. I'm like, who the hell's that old guy? Like,
Oh my
yeah.
God,
I
he's
forgot.
so
I
old.
guess he would have gone old. Yeah, it was crazy.
I hadn't even considered that Chevy
I did
Chase
not
would have
even
gotten old.
think about him getting old.
No,
Thought
exactly.
he was immortal. Yeah, that happens all the time.
100%.
Okay,
now-
go into your next one here. Ethan's
Yeah.
here. Ethan's back.
Yeah, I
Hi,
know.
Ethan.
Hi.
We were talking about you. We're like, man,
Yeah,
that
bye.
Ethan guy's pretty sexy. I like him.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm really glad you felt that way as I was
And that
saying
guy-
the option.
Oh my.
I'm sexy enough you could eat me
I-
with some fava beans
and a nice candy. Oh my.
I don't even know
Oh,
why.
my next favorite comedy, Silence of the Lambs. That movie,
hilarious.
that
It
movie
is.
is hilarious.
Just the best comedy out there.
A woman FBI agent.
The funniest thing I've
Hilarious.
ever seen.
Helen Hunt was a comedic genius in that movie. Absolutely.
Helen Hunt is not in that movie, Matt. That is
Helen-
Jodie Foster.
Oh, yeah,
and she was
Jodie Foster.
amazing.
Helen Hunt? What the hell?
I don't even know where that came from. I was like, oh, yeah,
my-
it is Jodie Foster. Who the hell is Helen Hunt? Just wait, which one's that?
Helen Hunt's in Twister.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Helen Hunt's in Twister.
You leave Jodie Foster alone. She is a national treasure, and I love her.
They do kind of look pretty similar, though.
No, they
Not at
don't.
all.
Jodie Foster is a brunette, and Helen Hunt is
I
definitely
can
blonde.
see one thing they have in common, Matt.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Helen Hunt.
I forget who people are when they're not in movies every once in a while. Okay? Yeah.
Apparently. Oh my God.
It's like Helen Hunt. Then you're like, oh, yeah, it was
She
Jodie
was in-
Foster.
I guess she kind of looks like Jodie Foster.
Okay, I get-
yeah.
Okay, boom. I like how you guys roast me. Google it for 10 seconds. Like, oh shit, never mind. They do
look
kind of look
nothing
the same.
alike.
My bad, my bad.
I guess if their hair
Easily
changes.
confused.
She
Yeah,
was
that makes
married
sense.
to Hank Azaria for a year.
Oh wow.
Poor Hank.
Helen Hunt. I was like, I don't know why I thought it was Helen Hunt for some reason.
That's-
I was like, she was hilarious in that movie. Like, she was not in that movie. I was like, are you sure? Because my
Not only-
brain's like, I can see the picture, and I'm like, my brain's like,
Not
Helen
only
Hunt.
was she not hilarious, she also was not in that movie.
She was probably one of those dead cops
However,
or something.
however, she was hilarious in Batman v Superman. That Granny's peach tea scene, oh my God.
I don't think that was her, was it?
I'm pretty sure it's Helen Hunt.
No way, man. That was Jodie Foster.
Set up, and payoff. It's good stuff.
Hold on. There's
Um,
one.
What are we looking at?
Pretty
here?
sure that was not Helen Hunt, dude.
I think it's Helen Hunt.
No,
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I guess we're gonna find out. Now we're gonna find out if I'm wrong.
You thought that senator was Helen Hunt?
I'm pretty sure it's Helen Hunt.
Not even
That's
close.
crap. What's her name?
I'm gonna Google this right now.
No, I know exactly. Holly Hunter,
Holly Hunter. Oh God damn it.
because she's Mrs. Incredible. It's really hard watching that scene and not hearing Mrs. Incredible talk. It's like it's so
Oh, yeah.
weird for me.
Oh yeah, that's Holly Hunter, dude. They're not even close, bro.
Their name is though.
Yeah,
They're
that's
not-
where the
yeah,
that's
the
where my
name.
confusion came from. Anyways,
Dude, that's
I know-
worse. That is
dude,
worse than mine. My movies
what?
came out
At
forever ago.
At least I know who people are, unlike you two uncultured swine.
anyways, Speaking of,
Ethan's like, you guys just don't understand.
Maybe if you guys watch some good movies, as opposed to what Caddyshack, whatever that movie is.
Caddyshack is awesome.
Hey, Caddyshack's funny.
Speaking
I've never watched it because I'm too good for it.
speaking of,
You're too good for Bill Murray, bro.
Yes,
Give your head a shake.
Yeah,
I
jeez.
am better than Bill Murray. Yes,
Oh my god.
I didn't make Garfield.
I mean that's fair.
He only voiced Garfield, to be fair.
In 2 movies.
Hey, you gotta get paid, man. You gotta get paid. Show up at a studio, record some lines, go home. That's a good gig. It's a good
Well,
gig.
honestly, if you were gonna cast someone as Garfield, he totally has the right tone of
Oh,
voice.
100%.
Yeah.
And just like the way he lives life. I guarantee you Bill Murray
Way
hates
he
Mondays.
lives life. He
just
just eats
makes me more
lasagna a lot.
Um
Okay, back to whatever we were talking about before
Anyways.
that. Remember.
speaking
Prosser
of-
again, probably.
You can decide whether to edit that whole thing out.
No, I'm keeping it. That is hilarious. But no, my actual next comedy, and it's a little bit of an off the wall pick, but like
It's gonna be pretty normal. It's not gonna be off the wall at all. It's gonna be like.
but it's not a traditional comedy.
The
Actually,
Simpsons.
it'd be no, yeah, The Simpsons. Jesus Christ.
Scary movie 1 through 6.
Oh yes, there's a sixth one, is there?
I don't know.
I know there's a fifth one,
I haven't paid attention.
There's probably a 6. I don't know.
but like speaking of scary movies, Evil Dead 2 would be my next one that I would say, because Evil Dead 2 is a hilarious freaking movie. That movie is it's
It's a
of
horror comedy.
yeah, it is. It's kind of the movie that like really cemented horror comedy as a genre. Because you had American Werewolf in London that did come out before it, but like it's not really like that movie
Well,
is funny.
Those are dark comedy. That would be more of a dark comedy.
Yeah.
Whereas like it's a dark comedy versus slapstick, because there's nothing really slapsticky in American Werewolf in London. Whereas
No.
like
Whereas
the whole
Evil
scene,
Dead
the whole
2
scene where he's fighting his hand.
Oh yeah,
Like
most a good half of that movie is just Bruce Campbell beating the shit out of himself, and it's brilliant. It is straight up like slapstick to the nth degree, but adding buckets upon buckets of blood and gore.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. I can think of is the to me one of the perfect mergers of those two genres, and you see so much of that now with stuff like Zombieland or like Shaun of the Dead, things like that.
Tucker and Dale versus
Tucker and
Evil.
Dale versus Evil, because again, comedy and horror both have that unifying factor where it's like a lot of it is getting a reaction out of the audience, and they go about it in similar ways. Because horror, you need setup and payoff. With comedy, you need setup and payoff, and when you can merge the two together, you get some really interesting
Well,
stuff.
there's even gross out comedy and gross out horror.
Yep.
And you can put those hand in hand as well.
100%. Again, there's the whole scene where he's hunting his severed hand inside of the house, and he goes to shoot the wall, and he's like, I got you, didn't I? And then suddenly a geyser of blood comes out and just starts, oh Jesus God. Just gets doused in buckets of blood, and then it gets sucked back into the wall, and he's just like, oh God. Which he's just losing his freaking mind. But no, to me, that movie, so much of my humor is kind of the stuff I find funny, and a lot of the stuff I look for in what.
I'm pretty sure that's what most people's humor is. There's things they find are funny.
You know what I mean.
In
I'm
case
pretty
you
sure
didn't know,
That's
my
the
humor
definition
is
of it.
things I find funny.
Man, my sense of humor are things that I do not laugh at all. That is 100% the type
yes,
of...
brilliant comedy.
I refuse to even applaud for it.
But no,
Huh, that's hilarious.
that's actually hilarious. But no,
We're so dumb.
but
We're
it's-
so dumb.
it's an incredibly influential film. It is absurd to the max. Bruce Campbell is brilliant in it. And it's just a really funny merger of horror and comedy. I love the gags in that film. That is a movie that for me is
Or that
I'm-
laughing scene.
which one?
The laughing scene.
Oh yeah, where there's a scene in the movie where a bunch of the like inanimate objects in the cabin like come alive and start laughing at him, and like including like a trophy head of a deer, the lamps, the books on the shelves, like all
Oh,
this
yeah.
these and they have like goofy laughs. Like one of them's like "Ugh, gug, 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 gug," like doing like the Popeye laugh, and the other one's like ah, and then he starts laughing too because he's just going insane from being in this cabin with all these like evil spirits. So he starts laughing maniacally with them, and slowly throughout the scene it goes from like insane like laughter to like him like screaming, and it's so perfect. Like it's incredibly well done and well balanced as far as like, because there are legitimately like scary things in that movie as well, but oftentimes like there will be a like a slapstick punctuation with something and it all works seamlessly together. Like it's a perfect balance.
I want to go watch this.
Yeah, man, Evil Dead 2, you don't even really need to see the original.
You don't at all.
Yeah, like it literally summarizes the first movie in like the first 10 minutes.
Oh,
And then you can just watch the second one and just have a blast. Evil Dead 2 is
Convenient.
fantastic. Yeah, man, I'd recommend it. It's so good. And then the last one I'll talk about, like I'll try to be brief with this one because I've taken up a lot of time. But
Yeah, you jerk.
oh, okay.
yeah,
the last
homie.
one, but I'll talk about my all-time favorite comedy, which is Hot Fuzz.
Ooh.
It's like boo. But Hot Fuzz is my favorite comedy of all time. It is the second in Edgar Wright's like Cornetto trilogy, which is like kind of more of a thematic one. Like you of course have Shaun of the Dead, which is the first one, and then The World's End, which is the third one, like a science fiction movie. And the second one is like a lampoon of like mostly buddy cop movies, but like the action genre in general. And yeah, like it is one of those movies where like every single time I have watched it, I have found something new to laugh at. There is always like, whether it's a visual gag or like a play on words that they do that comes back later, or just like some like thing in the background that was like clearly meant to be a joke and like you just don't notice it the first time you're watching. Like that movie is chock full of different types of comedy. And of course, like if you're a fan of action movies, like there's a lot of like they parody Michael Bay multiple times in the way they shoot the film.
Yep.
They directly reference stuff like Point Break and Bad Boys 2. They directly lift like from the trailer of the first Lethal Weapon, they like lift a bit of score from it that they use a couple times in the film. But yeah, like it's just really, it's a smartly written movie. It has a lot of fun with the premise of like this big time cop going to a small town where like it's like a like he's such a good cop that he's making the rest of the cops in London look bad, so they send him to this small town where nothing happens, but then he ends up uncovering this like mass like what he thinks is like a mass conspiracy, and there's a killer on the loose and things like that, and it unfolds, and when you find out what's happening, it is so absurd, but also like it's just really well done. Like I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it
Like-
multiple times because I do
Yeah,
really, I like that one.
Leslie Teller was murdered.
Oh yeah, the swear jar.
Yeah,
Leslie Teller was fucking murdered. He
Timothy
puts in a
Dalton,
dollar.
man, he was dope.
Oh, Timothy Dalton is so delightful in that movie. It's just like, I'm a slasher of prices. You should come by sometime. Our sales are criminal. And he just runs off, and it's like they so heavily, they lay it on so thick that he's involved, but then at a certain point you're like, well, maybe it's just a massive mislead because it's Timothy Dalton, you're just expecting him to be the bad guy, and then you're like, oh, not only is he the bad guy, but like all these characters are like part of it too.
Yeah.
And you think it's like he's like doing all this research, and you're like he's like, oh yeah, it's this big like land conspiracy, and like somebody wants to buy this land, so these people are getting murdered, and then you find out the reasons why the people are getting murdered, and it's the most shallow, stupid reasons for why they're getting murdered, and it's hilarious. And like you get, of course, like him and Nick Frost play off each other so much.
Yeah.
And like, and it's kind of like the thing I enjoy about the Cornetto trilogy movies, like, because you get the first one, Shaun of the Dead, where it's like Shaun like he's like the mature one of the two, but like he doesn't quite have his act together. And then you have Ed, who just like Nick Frost, he's just a complete screw up. And then with this next one, it's like he like now Simon Pegg, like he's got his shit together, and then like, but he's so wound up tight that he doesn't know how to like live his life.
Mm-hmm.
And Nick Frost, like, yeah, he's way more laid back and he doesn't necessarily take his job seriously, but they kind of like come together in the middle, and like Nick Frost teaches him how to relax more, and then Simon Pegg teaches Nick Frost how to be a better cop. Like they like have that dynamic, which again like mirrors like Lethal Weapon, which is one of the things that they're kind of satirizing in it. And then with The World's End, Nick Frost is the one who's got his life together, and Simon Pegg's the one who's like just a complete screw up, and like it's got this like cool, the dynamic between them is always shifting in those movies, and I think it's one a bit stronger in Hot Fuzz for sure. But yeah, brilliant movie. I'm always finding new things to laugh at in it, and it's just really well done. So yeah,
Cool, man. Ethan's sleeping. Wake up.
yeah, like I feel like
Wake up, cracker.
I went I went deep dive on like all four of those, and I didn't mean to.
Ethan's not sleeping. He's dead.
He's dead.
He's dead. You'll be dead.
I better watch myself. I've got
You
the
better
best
watch
sentence on 12
yourself.
fist systems.
I'll be careful.
I'll be dead.
I'm no trouble. Let me buy me a drink.
Oh, I cut my own arm off.
No blasters, no blasters.
You just watch this one person do all those things. Like, oh, what the hell, man?
That'd be
What is
amazing.
going on here?
Star Wars, the one-man show.
Crazy as hell.
Anyways, how about you, Matt? What are some comedies that you love? Because I'm assuming Ethan wants to wait to the end because he's going to be long-winded.
Probably.
I don't mind.
And then, look, we can go with Ethan if you want to go, buddy. You go ahead.
I don't mind. I'm good either way, man.
Yeah.
I'm good,
Okay.
Whatever. I'll just fall asleep during yours and then wait till I talk
And then
or
take a
whatever.
nap. Okay, so mine will be a little quicker because they're just like it's just like little things. So I really like thinking about it. I know there's just these fundamental pieces of comedy that have really shaped my sense of humor, and I'm telling you, when you like look at these things or if you've seen them, you're gonna be like, oh, that tracks. That makes a hell of a lot of sense. It's kind of like the whole secret to who I am. I feel like, at least anyway, or at least my ridiculous, the part of me that's ridiculous. First I'd start with, I'd probably say Flintstones. Man, I absolutely love
Like the,
Oh, yeah.
the
Flintstones.
movie or the
No,
cartoon?
like the cartoon, like the
Oh, yeah,
cartoon
yeah.
Flintstones.
Jetsons.
Jetsons as much didn't really jam with me that much,
Like
but
the classic,
Scooby Doo,
Classic cartoons.
yeah, Hanna-Barbera.
Well,
Was a lot.
Well, like knowing
Yogi
you
Bear.
knowing you for as long as I did, honestly, a lot of that comes down to it's like what Prosser was saying with voice work.
Yeah,
The amount of voices that you do, it's hilarious. Like it's like you get a lot of comedy out of the different voices that you do.
yeah, just
know,
out of
different-
like nowhere sometimes. Not so much in here. I don't really do too many voices on here. Sometimes I
Well,
guess. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure out of the 3 that you listed, I definitely have heard you do all 3 voices.
Yeah, probably, eh?
Hey, boo-boo.
Hey, boo, you need a picnic basket. Like, and those are like just the way those like old cartoons and like those Hanna-Barbera ones. Like I just love the way they're paced, the way they're voiced, the animation, and like they're just in the like just the I don't know, just the comedic timing of it, right? Like it's so unique compared to like what's on TV nowadays.
How do you feel about the laugh tracks on them?
No, they never bothered me.
Dude, I have such a hard time with old school laugh tracks.
Yeah, it
'Cause
doesn't
It's the same laugh for
every time.
show.
Yeah.
And it just like I keep trying to ignore it, and I wish when they release the DVDs they'd actually like have an option to just turn off the laugh track.
Yeah.
But you know,
Well, it's like
wishful thinking.
at its time, it's like, oh yeah, like we want to have that live studio audience feel with these cartoons. Let's
Yeah.
put a laugh track
Well,
on
they
it.
do it for TV shows like Gilligan's Island and stuff has it as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gilligan, like it's
But,
just that was the style at the time.
100%. And like I watched these like a lot of these shows too with my uncle. too. Like that's what I remember the most. Like, and a lot of my comedy actually comes from all the shows I watched with my uncle. Like he pretty much showed me all of these except maybe one. But yeah, like those old Hanna-Barbera cartoons. I remember that one. They were like all. Do you remember that? I can't remember what it was called, but they were like all the characters were in like this race together.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You remember what it was called? Because I cannot remember for the life of me, but that one was funny. Like that dog that was like, like he had the really like the real airy laugh.
Yep.
Freaking loved it, man.
Wacky Races, I think.
Wacky
Is that what it was called?
I think so.
I don't know. Anything where Yogi Bear, Scooby Doo, or the Flintstones were involved, I was in.
Muttley and Dick Dastardly.
Yeah, Muttley. Like that was so funny. Those were absolutely critical. Absolutely love those ones. They're so funny. Another one would be my uncle also like showed me a lot of like just random things that were like funny and I got a kick out of. There was like, you know those do you ever hear of Dorf? Like there's like Dorf goes fishing. It was kind of like, but he was like
sounds familiar.
Yeah, he was like a short dude. I don't know if he was actually short or if he was just on his knees with like shoes or whatever. But they were like funny, just VHS videos. I got a kick out of them, especially Dorf Goes Fishing. That one was a really funny one. If you Google that, you'll find it, or YouTube it's probably on there. But one of the ones that he showed me that was really funny. And honestly, if you watch these videos, you're going to be like, oh, damn, that makes so much sense for Matt. And that was he had a cassette of these music videos from Ray Stevens.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, we had the exact same VHS.
Nobody, Prosser, you're like the first person who I've talked to who knows what I'm talking about.
It's really funny you mentioned that because like I was on set the other day and one of the costume ladies was like talking about the streak.
Yeah,
She was like, I just think
they call him the streak. Boogity, likes to show off his physique.
And she was like, oh my God, you're the only other person I've heard refer to Ray
nobody ever talks. Anytime I'm like, oh, this is videotape about Ray Stevens. Like, what? Or if I sing the songs, like people like, I love like the streak. The streak is super funny. I ain't sitting up with the dead no more. I don't know about you. Boop, boop.
Like legit, pretty solid songs.
Like
overall.
legit, man. The day the squirrel went berserk in the first self-righteous church. That's
yes,
we bit little town up Pascagoula. It was a fight for survival that broke out in revival. People jumping up and shouting, "Hallelujah, hallelujah!" Like
friggin'
so good.
Yep, 100%, man. I watched. I watched that.
What was the other one? Like the Santa Claus is watching you.
Oh,
he's everywhere. He's everywhere.
Oh, there's it's me again, Margaret.
It's me again, Margaret. Yeah, that was it. It's me again, Margaret.
I definitely do that laugh so often. You don't know me, Margaret, but I know you. It's like
you.
It's it's so ridiculous.
My family, like we reference that all the time. Like all the time we reference Ray Stevens because it was just so damn funny.
Yeah, like we had a VHS tape at
now
my grandparents' place.
Here we are surfing USSR. So I actually got kicked off the bus I actually got kicked off the bus for singing that song in grade 9 once too. I was like, I don't know. I think the bus drivers get pissed off at all the kids, and I just happen to be singing a ridiculous song in the back. I was also standing up and like, yeah, surfing. He's like, get the hell off. I was like, God damn it.
Maybe he was like stationed in the Cold War or
yeah,
something.
Maybe
I had some PTSD. He's
like,
oh, the Cold War wasn't fun.
Surfing USSR.
How dare you make light of this event in history?
Like, would you have it in that box and stuff? Or?
No, actually, I might have that VHS now.
Honestly,
I inherited my grandparents' VHSs.
You can YouTube. They're pretty much all on YouTube. Like if you look up the streak, if you look up the squirrel went berserk. If you just look up Ray Stevens, look through the songs.
You'll find.
But from back in the day, like he has a couple out on the YouTube channel now.
They're not as good. Like they're like
No,
there's-
not even close.
I know
Not
you
even
show,
close.
You showed me a couple because I looked up the streak and I was like, I recognize that now.
Yeah, like it was pretty popular. Like I think, but like literally, yeah, I try to talk about that with like people now, and nobody knows what the hell
Nobody
I'm
has a
talking about.
clue.
I was like,
Nobody
am I going
has a
crazy?
clue.
Is this like Candle Cove? Did I watch like static on the TV? Was everyone just placating me? Is Ray Stevens even real?
The day the squirrel went berserk and
Mm-hmm.
the first self-righteous church of that sweet bit little town of Pascagoula. Like, it's
Copyright
just,
strike.
like, it was so funny, man. I don't even know. Is his stuff copyrighted? Probably. Maybe. I don't know.
Probably. I have
I'm
to
just
imagine.
saying. It was
It was
great.
fun.
I absolutely loved Ray Stevens. And that
He's still
comedy.
making stuff apparently.
Yeah, I
wouldn't
know,
doubt
but
it.
he's
Like,
just like really old and it's definitely not as good.
he's just really old.
He's just really old. But
Yeah. Good stuff.
yeah, it's funny stuff. And like I would say that probably more than anything, just in general. And like going forward, how I found things funny or not. That Ray Stevens video was probably the most fundamental piece of my sense of humor. Like, period. Like looking back, like everything I think about and like say, and it's just kind of like my hillbilly way sometimes. Like I like to do like the hillbilly stuff. Like I'm like everything just goes back to
Yeah.
Ray Stevens, man. Everything.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Everything. Like it's such a fundamental piece of my comedy. And honestly, people YouTube it. It's worth listening to. It's so funny. It drives my wife nuts, but I love to sing them because it drives her nuts. Last one I would
enjoyable.
say is Mr. Bean. Man, Mr. Bean.
Mr.
Like,
Bean.
the like when he goes
Honestly,
to church
Rowan-
and he
Rowan-
falls asleep, or when he loses his bathing suit in the swimming pool.
I've got the
Uh,
turkey on.
Yeah, or the turkey on his head, right? Like just classic turkey. And
Turkey.
his first movie was solid. Then after that, it wasn't
yeah.
as good. But
But Rowan Atkinson in general is hilarious.
oh yeah, like he's such a funny guy. But
And he's a smart. He's a smart dude. Like,
and I still have like the Mr. Bean. I still have all that stuff. Like I have the Mr. Bean like collection too, like the DVD collection of like the TV series. So every once in a while I put that on and I'll watch it. Yeah, that's another big one that's absolutely fundamental to my sense of humor. So those are like the two.
Oh.
Those are like the handful of ones that I would say are the most. And like all the things I've liked after that, I feel like come from like those are the fundamental things that I've decided what I find funny.
Matt, sorry, I have to amend something really quick because there is a massive comedic influence of mine that I forgot to mention, and I would be remiss if I didn't. But I'll just put it under one thing: Monty Python.
Yeah.
I was gonna bring up Monty Python.
The Monty, you're gonna
Ethan's
bring
like,
up
oh
Monty
yeah.
damn it.
Python? Okay.
No, don't worry. Like,
Well,
don't
like,
worry.
I just
Again,
thought
man,
about that. I'm like, oh my god, I didn't bring up the Monty Pythons. Like,
Didn't bring up Monty Python.
I can't believe I did. Like, I literally referenced it in the last friggin' video, like the last podcast we did. I referenced Monty Python.
Yeah.
Yeah, like just as far as like again absurdist stuff, like
100%.
like British humor, like that kind of stuff. Like definitely was a massive influence on like what I enjoy. Again, hot fuzz British comedy and
For
all that kind of
sure.
stuff. So like, but again, you're gonna go more into it. But like, I had to bring that.
Oh, I
up.
was gonna bring it up for you so that we could,
Oh, excellent, yeah.
discuss it.
But yeah, no, dude. I highly agree with everything you're saying. Like, yeah, Ray Stevens, man. Like nobody talks about, but like hilarious stuff.
Oh,
really good
so
stuff.
funny. Yeah. Ahead of his time, man.
So good, so good. Yes. it is
Okay,
you.
Ethan, that's pretty much it for my essentials or fundamentals. My audio
I-
something's doing something weird too. But keep going, keep
Man,
going.
Like mine is tricky because like 99% of my life has just been about laughing or making people laugh. Like it's just a good chunk of my personality has always been about laughter. And like I could say very very strongly though I'm not really well versed on comedy or a comedy aficionado. Like I wouldn't say that I'm that in the slightest because the stuff I grew up with was very either not of the time period that I was alive in or just like a lot of it was clean comedy growing up because that was what our household had.
Mhm.
Right. Right.
But like some of the first few, like Abbott and Costello and Laurel and Hardy, like those classic comedy guys. Like Abbott and Costello's "Who's on First" is a bit that like I absolutely love. Like that's
You reference it a lot. Like,
Yes,
it's a funny sketch.
yes. Who's on first? What's on second? I don't know. Who's on third? So what's the guy on second? What's the guy on first base? No, what is on second base? I'm not asking you who's on second. Who's on first? I love that kind of stuff. I love the
Yeah.
banter.
Yeah.
And I grew up with that. So then going into like going to the library and even getting any movie of theirs that I can watch. Bob Hope and Bing Crosby classic comedy movies. Like my parents had these cassette tapes that had old school radio shows on them that had just comedy shows. Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy. Frick, I'm trying to remember them all. I have them in my room, but like, there was just a lot of comedy stuff like that I'd listen to. So a lot of my humor is very old school, and then a lot of sitcoms my parents would raise me on, that they grew up with, Beverly Hillbillies, that
Right.
kind
Yeah.
of stuff. That's Gilligan's Island I already mentioned.
Yeah.
And
mhm.
so
Yeah.
like a lot of the older jokes like that. And then I kind of just became like I'm trying to think now. We've discussed about comedy so much now. Red Skeleton was another one.
Oh yeah,
that-
that's another one I watched with my uncle too. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lots of his stand up or his show. Really funny guy. Oh goodness, why is my brain shutting off? And then I think it's weird for me because like there's a certain time where I started finding stuff on my own that I really liked that my friend showed me, and around the same time I found Monty Python and Mel Brooks.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's one individual that has had an impact on me in a comedic way that has essentially shaped my life and who I am, it would be Mel Brooks. Like Monty Python, I've always enjoyed. Of course, got shown Holy Grail first,
Oh,
Right.
and then
that's always the one that one sees first. Yeah.
and then a bunch of just their sketches and stuff. It's funny because I didn't see Life of Brian or Meaning of Life and stuff until later on,
Mm-hmm.
but I got exposed to their TV show and would see a few episodes or sketches on YouTube, and I love their sketch comedy.
Mm-hmm.
But then I saw Spaceballs,
Mhm.
and it's weird because like I'm not a huge fan of parody. Like I wouldn't say parody is like my top brand of comedy or type of comedy,
Right.
but it's not necessarily the parody, but it's the jokes that came from that.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of sent me a quest, and the more and more that I watched his films and found more of his films, the more and more that style of wordplay. I love wordplay. I love jokes in films, not just funny situations, but like actual jokes coming up in films. I love that stuff. And I would say even like when someone's trying to get to know me, the more Mel Brooks films that I show them, the more they kind of understand me as a person. It's been interesting showing him a bunch of stuff because
It's very true.
like I can't remember, like we've gone through his filmography, and every time I show you new, and you're like, oh, well that makes sense about you now.
Like the producers was like a big one where I watched it. I'm just like, yeah, this whole movie explains exactly how your brain works.
Yeah.
Just the sense of humor that you have is very like again, it's just the way that you use wordplay in your life is very Mel Brooks.
Well, and it's also weird because I had this weird awakening watching trolls of anything. I was sitting in theaters watching Trolls, and I was laughing like nonstop throughout the entire movie, and halfway through it clicked where it's like, oh, I'm the worst person to tell anybody what's funny because everything is hilarious to me. Like, it's very rare that I watch a comedy that I don't find funny.
Mhm.
I enjoy laughing. I enjoy jokes. I enjoy finding the humor, even in situations that aren't necessarily funny.
Right.
It's just it's finding the humor in those tragedies, or finding the humor in, like, in the darkness, because laughter is going to be what pulls me out. So even growing up, a lot of times I would be making jokes about serious movies. I used to joke all the time about Lion King when Mufasa dies. Like, I used to make jokes about that. And I didn't really realize that was a coping mechanism for me. Where it's basically like, oh, I use humor to avoid that. When my grandparents passed away, me and my cousin tried to make each other laugh.
Right.
Not during the funeral, but like during like the...
That'd be inappropriate.
During the reception and stuff like that. We were always trying to keep it light and trying to keep it very... I don't know, it was not even about keeping it light or avoiding it. It was just finding the happiness within that terrible situation. And like, even shows like Home Improvement, that's very much like a family show. My parents love comedy and love to laugh. But again, it's a very specific, clean type of comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Veggie Tales would be a big sense of where my humor comes from as well. Which is just a weird... I would never have thought that, but...
Mm-hmm.
But no, like, it's funny, because I thought I had more to say on it than I did, but...
Then you're like, maybe not.
I mean, I could go in depth to, like, each Mel Brooks film, or to, like...
I don't know, how many more hours do we want to say?
Well, and that's where I also, like, I like stuff like Family Guy and American Dad, and a lot of people are like, oh, it's stupid humor, it's dumb humor, and it's like, actually, no, there's a lot of really smart jokes mixed in, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But a lot of people see the fart jokes and go like, oh, well, it's a fart joke, that's the beginning and end of what the humor is, and it's like, no,
There's more to it than that.
Yep. Mel Brooks invented the fart joke.
He didn't invent the fart joke, he just put it in
He just
movie.
put it in a movie first.
Don Knotts was another huge one I grew up watching, was a lot of Don Knotts stuff. Goodness. I thought I had more comedy. Well, then, and as I got older as a filmmaker, it's also noticing comedy within films that aren't necessarily comedic. And horror comedy, like Prosper said, is a huge, huge thing.
Mm-hmm. Like, didn't really mention it, but like Return of the Living Dead is another one.
Yep.
Friggin'
See, when you have to think about it, it doesn't come as easily.
Brain Dead or Dead Alive, depending on like where you are.
Well, even like, honestly, even like Lord of the Rings, the comedy between Merry and Pippin, that was my favorite stuff growing up. I loved it. More recently, as I've become an adult and gotten into stuff, I've actually been like kind of going on these like backwards kicks of like finding older comedians, and like older I mean like maybe 20 to 30 years ago. Like Steve Martin is one who I'm really getting into and really liking. Billy Crystal, I'm seeing a lot of his films for the first time. Like I just watched City Slickers.
Oh yeah, that's a classic. Yeah,
It's a good one.
I'd never seen it before, and like I was expecting this fun, silly kind of movie, and holy crap, it is a heavy movie.
100%, man.
It's not just a bunch of shenanigans. It's all about this man who thinks that he's at the end of his rope. Like, holy crap. And actually, just this week, I watched, there's a new series with Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez called Only Murders in the Building.
Oh yeah, I seen posters for it.
It's
so
good.
they've released the first 3 episodes. There's going to be, I think, 10 in the entire series. And I watched it, and it's honestly some of the funniest jokes that I've heard in a very long time. And I actually sat down and made Prosper and our other friend watch it too, so I've seen it twice in the last week.
Yeah.
And it's still just made me, like, cry laugh. Like, it is so funny. There's this whole bit. Like, do I want to tell him about it? Do I want to...
Like, go a little bit, like, tease him a little.
There's this whole bit where, like, they're talking about this guy who died, and all the people in the apartment are, like, complaining that, like, oh, he was just a terrible person, we all hate him, and he was just terrible. And then it's revealed someone's pet dies, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, your pet died? And they're all just really heartbroken about this animal after talking about how much they hate this guy.
Like, yeah, like,
it's just like...
Like, they're talking about, like, oh, can we use our chimneys now? Because, like, we couldn't use our chimneys because this guy, oh, I want the apartment, I've been on the list. It's like, but then the cat
And everyone just like devolves into this like,
oh my god,
oh,
I'm
so sad. Ah.
That's funny.
And it's like it's jokes throughout that where it's just like it's not a lot of like, it's not a joke a minute, and it's not like a consistent trying to one up everything.
Right.
There's just solid jokes throughout, and that's one of my main complaints with a lot of modern comedies is the amount that it's just like trying to like, comedians in movies are trying to one up each other rather than just have like a good comedic scene.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
So I don't know. I don't know what else I have to say. I thought I had more.
Mm-hmm. It's good stuff.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough. Well, yeah, and when it's just always an interesting like test and examination to go back and look at the fundamental like films or comedies or whatever that really like made us who we are, because even our own personalities, like we just you don't just come out of nothing. You don't just like appear. It's like there's definitely some fundamental pieces that build those building blocks that really shape our humor and understanding. Like you said, every time you watch a different film, you're like, wow, Ethan, that makes way more sense. And I just feel like, yeah, we probably all have those types of things in our lives too. You watch something, you're like, oh, wow, I understand this person a lot better.
Well, again,
yeah.
it's humor is such an important thing and really connects people, I find. Like, it's just something a lot of people kind of shrug off and just kind of dismiss because it's like, oh, it's just laughter. But like,
Laughter is
especially
important.
if you hear
Yeah.
if you hear stand-up comedians talk about it, like they're bringing together a bunch of people into one room to unify on one thing, and that's comedy.
Mhm.
That's laughter. Everyone who goes to a comedy show goes.
They want to laugh.
Yeah, they go to have a good time. And they go to laugh. They go to have that shared experience.
Yeah.
And like that's why again comedy is super important. No one walks into a sad movie being like, "Well, I want to be collectively sad." Like no one thinks that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, like with comedy, like you go into even a comedy movie and you're like, "I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to go and laugh at this thing."
100%.
Concurred. Yeah,
Does
that's
anyone-
so what?
Oh, oh my god.
Where?
I was going to ask if anyone had a question of the day.
Is it?
Oh,
question of the
yeah,
day
yeah,
time,
we'll-
or is
we'll
there
get-
more to?
We'll
Like,
get,
what do you got? What do you got?
no, we'll get right into the question of the day. I was just gonna say, let us know what's your fundamental, what are the fundamental comedies that really developed your own sense of humor and your own unique sense of joy in your life. Okay, guys. Home Alone also was great.
Yep.
Well, that's I think a big thing that a lot of like that we don't really think about is how many movies that aren't just straight up comedies,
Yeah.
but have a lot of humor that does shape us.
Yeah.
I was
Like,
I was actually going to bring that up, like in regards, like again, Matt, I'm assuming you have a question of the day.
No, I thought you did.
Yeah, I actually do. I
Okay,
actually-
perfect.
And literally, you just
I'm
teed me up for
I'm
it, Ethan.
slacking.
I was gonna say, what is your favorite movie? Like, or what are some of your favorite movies that are not known as comedies that you watch and find hilarious? Because like
Dear Zachary.
Dears, oh Jesus,
Jesus, Ethan.
oh no, hilarious. Oh, the injustices in the Canadian law, like Canadian law, hilarious.
That's a loaded question.
Because like I have a couple of examples myself. Like
Of
if-
course you
if-
do, cheater. Okay, you go first then. Smart guy.
Honestly, like, well, the biggest ones for me, like, they're just movies that like I like. There are movies that are not really known as like comedies, but I find them absolutely hilarious. Is like the first, like specifically with Indiana Jones, like the first three movies, and on top of just being like great adventure films, they're really funny. Like there's a lot of great comedy that goes on in those films.
Yeah.
Of course, like again, like Raiders of the Lost Ark, like it's like this like serious adventure. Like you got some like gags of like how he gets out of the temple there and all that, but like you have our hero get out of this like intense like big thing, and he gets in the plane and everything, and it's like, oh man, he got out of there. He's such a like badass dude. And then there's a snake in the cockpit. He starts losing it. It's like, you know, I hate snakes. I hate them.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just this really funny moment that humanizes him. And like, to me, that's like the thing I love about Indiana Jones as a character is like, because like at the end of the day, like Indiana Jones is like a bit of a badass, but at the end of the day, he is an archaeologist who is always a little bit up over his head in what he's doing. And from that comes like situations where like he's just kind of making shit up as he goes, trying to get through the adventure.
Yeah, like improv style, yeah.
Like again, you go to Last Crusade and like the scene where he's trying to get into the castle and he pretends to be a Scottish lord. It's like,
The tapestries.
the tapestries.
I'm here to look at the tapestries. You have tapestries, don't you?
This is
It's
a castle and we
do
do have tapestries.
But if you are a Scottish lord, then I am Mickey Mouse.
How dare ye? Punches him out. Like, just really funny shit like that. Like, so those movies, like, on top of just being, like, fun adventures, like,
Yeah.
I laugh a lot watching it, especially, like, in Last Crusade, the dynamic between, like, Sean Connery and Harrison Ford is so funny. Junior, not now, Dad. The rug is on fire. What?
And the chair.
And the chair.
Oh, God.
Sean, I'm sorry. They got us. So when he shoots the back of the plane out, he's just, son, I'm sorry. They got us. So good. And then like the Lethal Weapon movies would be another one that like
Oh
would
man,
say, like-
I was gonna use Lethal Weapon. You
oh yeah,
jerk.
you talk about Lethal Weapon then, Matt. Like
I love
fucking-
Lethal Weapon. The first one's serious, and then after one, they're pretty funny after that. But the first one obviously still has a lot. The first one still has a lot of comedy in it too. But it's
100%.
like the first one's so grounded, and it does like it's like real serious, and you can get like the sequels are so funny because they're so much more jovial.
Yeah,
You know what I
like-
mean? Like there's
like
still
they-
serious shit happens in it. But like just the
100%.
tone of the film, like if you watch one and then two, like there is a tone difference. Like
Oh, yeah.
between the first
Like,
movie and
those-
the rest of them.
those movies are
Diplomatic immunity.
like the diplomatic immunity. It's just been revoked. Like that's funny.
I love the Lethal
But-
Weapon movies. Yeah, they're so
I love
funny.
them so much. Like that is a set of movies that like when I watch the first one, I have to watch them all. Even though like the main villain of the third one's not that great, and like the fourth one as a movie is not the best. But like I
Man,
love
four
those.
was pretty good. Four is
But
pretty
lo-
good, man.
They're fun. I
You
enjoy.
got Chris Rock in there now,
Yep.
and they're all like,
I
"Leo,
love-
shut up."
I love
was
I
good.
love the end of that movie. Again, the whole thing, like they're like again like
okay,
friggin'
okay.
Murtaugh.
Okay.
Okay. But the end of the movie were like they're about to fight Jet Li, and Martin is just like, yeah, that thing with the gun that he did there, that was really crazy. How do you think he did that?
Yeah.
And he just looks at him like, how do you think he did that? It's like, okay, let's go ask him.
Let's
Like-
go do it. Yeah.
like, and then they end up just fighting Jet Li, and it's like in reality, Jet Li would probably destroy the both of them.
Just
but
murder
like,
them instantly. Yeah.
but they don't shy away from the fact that like they are like kind of over their heads, but the power of friendship and family
But, like,
overcomes the threat.
And like the funniest thing too is like because Lethal Weapon in the first one is Riggs. Like he
Yeah,
is the
he
lethal
is the lethal weapon.
And then in two, it's like, oh, never mind, he ain't that lethal anymore. Like the sequels, they like totally forget that whole aspect of it, which is
yeah,
funny.
like yeah,
Really.
but like it's
Now it's
but, like-
friendship and family.
exactly like that's like to me
Family.
like the Lethal Weapon movies are way more a movie about family than the Fast and Furious movies are, because literally by the end of the fourth movie, like they're a family, like. And like the friggin' ending with the "Why can't we be friends?" Like, it's
Why
like there is a
can't we
like
be friends. Yeah, it was
Like,
good.
like all four of those movies like have like a dramatic undertone to them of like what the movie is about. But then yeah, like especially with like 2, 3, and 4, there's so many like comedic asides and like especially like including Joe Pesci, things like
Yeah.
that. That's just like
I forgot he's in those movies.
yeah, oh yeah, like
He's
and
great.
he's hilarious. He works as a comedy foil for those characters. But like, yeah, I'm right there with you. Like, when I watch the first one, I have to watch all four just because I love those characters
Yeah.
and I want more adventures with them. So
I
it's
concur.
good stuff.
I like that he said he was gonna let you talk about Lethal Weapon, and he just.
I'm
Totally...
sorry.
I'll let you use that as your answer. I'm gonna talk through the whole thing.
me
Hey,
and
that's a good win for me, man.
me and Matt will do a Lethal Weapon exclusive podcast. We'll just talk
I
about
see.
we'll talk about Lethal Weapon.
Ethan's getting excluded.
You can be included. Like we'll talk about all four Lethal Weapons in
Have
great
you not seen the
detail.
Lethal Weapon movies, Ethan, or what?
I have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Why
like-
wouldn't
I'm just
Ethan
not-
be there? He's just not invited, or what?
Yeah, I'm just not invited. Apparently,
I'm just saying, like, I've done a couple podcasts with just him. I can do a couple with just you, but like we can do them all together. I'm fine with this.
Oh, Prosser just hates me.
Oh, okay.
Sounds about right. You just
How
don't
dare.
understand, Ethan. You just don't understand, man.
Sorry that I have good taste in good cinema.
Okay.
You don't understand, Prosser. You just don't understand.
I've agreed with you that Lethal Weapon is like the perfect quadrilogy.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
like,
it's great.
There is a through line of like those characters throughout all four of those movies, and
It's
like
the same thing with Scream. Like Scream and Lethal Weapon are very comparable in that.
yeah, oh yeah, the Scream movies are hilarious too.
I was gonna say that's one of my many answers to this question.
You go right ahead, Ethan.
Oh, good gosh. Because Scream 100% is hilarious. The Mummy movies are also really funny too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I feel like those are both very close to like the movies you guys listed.
Yeah. Oh shit. Like the scene where like again Emotep is like kind of like still mummy-ish and like screams at Brendan Fraser.
He
and
just screams back.
and shoots him.
Ah!
So good.
Hey O'Connell, we have all the horses. Hey Benny, you're on the wrong side of the river.
That was great.
A double-decker bus. It was his idea.
Oh gosh, because there's so many. There are so many movies that I love that just have good comedy in them. Like I mean the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with Freddy and his
He is
damn
kind-
one-liner.
He is kind
After
of a
the first
weirdo.
one, at
Yeah.
least.
Bon appetit, bitch. So good.
Like is Jojo Rabbit considered a comedy?
I don't
I don't know.
like. Yeah, dark.
Yeah,
I would say a dark
I'd say it's
comedy.
a dark comedy. Yeah.
Like, because like
Um,
that, like ultimately, again, it's not a. It kind of has a feel good thing near the end, but like there's a lot of like really sad stuff in that movie.
Well, and Bill and Ted would be considered a comedy.
Yeah, I know you talked about Lord of the Rings. Like there's a lot of like pretty solid humor.
Well, and that just comes down to Peter Jackson's films in general. Like
Yeah.
Frighteners is hilarious.
Oh, Frighteners
but
is
it's such a good movie.
yeah, Frighteners is delightful.
Oh gosh, I watch too many movies. I think that's the main problem. Is the amount of movies I watch.
What are a couple of
that
your
sounds about
influences? A couple.
Space Jam? What Back to the Future, is that a comedy? Is Back to the Future a comedy? Because I don't.
I don't know. Like,
But it's funny.
I would say-
I love it.
like I'd say that the Back to the Future movies definitely lean more into comedy, but like I'd say they're adventure movies first and foremost. But they are hilarious. The Friday the 13th movies, really.
A lot of slasher films.
Yep. Whether intentional or unintentionally, a lot of slasher films can be really funny.
Here,
Yeah,
I thought I
horror
had a really
movies,
good
yeah.
Answer.
Mm-hmm.
Thought I had a really good answer, and now it's just gone. Goodness, because like, what's one that I do go back to and I just laugh? Like, I feel like the Mummy is the best answer to that.
Yeah, like The Mummy and like The Scream, because again, like the Scream movies aren't really known as like comedies. Like they are slasher films at the end of the day, but like they are really funny. Like, and they've got great observational humor to them. So.
Well, I think me and you are a bad pairing for this because we'll just laugh at pretty much anything.
It's true. Like, there are so many things that just like they're not. This is a very serious
Well,
movie.
watching Tombstone, we were laughing.
Oh yes,
Like
No,
That's not a funny movie in the slightest, but good gravy.
I don't know. Like Doc Holliday says some stuff that's pretty funny.
Oh, the Star Trek movies, like the newer ones.
Oh yeah,
Womulans.
that's a great answer. Womulan.
Womulans.
I'm gonna give you a sedative.
Ah, stop it!
Ah, God. What's going on? Oh, he's got numb tongue. Numb
Tong
tongue.
tong. Like,
Frick, the beginning of Beyond, where like they're talking, like you think he's talking to like these giant like alien dudes, and jumps down as like a tiny little guy, but then they all swarm him. Like those are funny. But I'd say like a lot of the Star Trek movies have kind of those elements where
is A Knight's Tale technically a comedy? Like,
I think Knight's Tale definitely would fall into the realm of like being a comedy. Because like that movie is like deliberately hilarious, especially with Paul Bettany's character.
true. You mean Geoffrey Chaucer, the actual author?
Yes,
I didn't mean for that to rhyme, by the way.
Jeffrey
Yeah.
Chaucer, the actual author.
He's gonna give you some stories and bring you some glories. Do you guys know Mel Brooks made a rap for "It's Good to Be the King"?
What?
I did not.
Yeah, like, okay, see, you've seen History of the World Part 1, right? I feel like I showed you this one.
It's good to be the king.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, and it's like at the last act when he's in the French Revolution, the running joke is "It's good to be the king,"
Mm-hmm.
and because he's playing King Louis and stuff like that. He made a whole rap about that. Called "It's Good to Be the
yeah.
King," and I found this back a few years ago, and it's like a legit rap, but it's meant like it's so funny. It's so like, and it's just like it's so random, but also I can't believe I didn't mention it. Weird Al Yankovic.
Oh, that yeah.
Yeah, like when it comes to like comedy songs and parody songs,
Sure.
and I stand by.
Well, I'd say that like counts in the same way Ray Stevenson does, because like a lot of the music videos that accompany him are really funny.
But I'd also say that when Weird Al stops making music or dies, that entire genre is gonna just stop. Like not parodies, like not comedy songs, but parody songs in the way that Weird Al does them. Because no one else does songs like that. There are comedy songs like Lonely Island.
But again,
They
like
still do that stuff, but that's such a different beast than what
well,
Weird
like
Al does.
well, because Lonely Island is more like a genre parody than it is like of a like specific song parody. You know.
Yeah.
Also, do you know Prosser hates the 21 and 22 Jump Street movies? Excuse me, for no reason.
Yeah, they're okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
They're funny. They are hilarious movies, and you guys have no taste in humor. That is the takeaway that I have from this this podcast.
That's the Last Jedi all over again.
You guys have no sense of humor.
That's not true.
Sounds about right.
And Matt just gives up.
You guys.
I don't have the energy to argue with
probably-
you right now, man.
It was like,
I'm just like, you okay?
You guys probably would laugh at Schindler's List. You terrible people.
Not that far. Holy.
much like Silence of the Lambs. It is hilarious.
Just too rank.
Ray Fiennes giving a Jim Carrey level performance with his.
Oh, that would have been horrible. That would have been like my stomach just turned at the thought of like Jim Carrey playing out some of the scenes that he does.
Oh man, yeah, that'll not be good.
I don't feel so good anymore.
Oh God. Well, no. I'm gonna end it on a high note. You know, the thing is, all of Arnold Schwarzenegger movies are unintentionally funny because of how great the one-liners are.
You can say that
Yeah,
about every
true.
action movie.
Like Commando is another movie I find.
Yeah,
like,
but Arnold, just because of who Arnold is a
And the
little
way he
extra funny. Yeah.
and delivers these lines with such sincerity.
Well, that's because they keep
Don't
putting they
don't
put
disturb
those
my
lines
friend.
in
He's
directly.
dead tired.
I'm
That's the
just
thing is
saying.
like, I think Arnold is the one that they just intentionally keep giving one-liners to.
Well, sometimes he'd make them up as he goes along too. Like I'm not gonna lie, like a lot of those like action guys in the one-liners. That's another thing I find really funny. Like there's so many good ones. Yeah. Oh, good stuff.
Cool, man. Cool. Let us know what serious or non-comedy movie that you find really funny too. And again, those fundamental comedies, let us know
Guarantee
Let
I'll
us
think of
know.
more at the after we're done. As soon as we end this, I'll be like, oh, these 50 films.
Yeah, probably.
How did I not mention blah blah blah?
Oh, I love blah blah blah. It's my favorite one. Easy, easy.
I'm the blah.
Oh, frick, Robin Williams. Robin Williams is another one that just.
Oh
Oh,
my
yeah.
God! How did we not talk about Robin Williams at all?
Yeah, it's true. There's so many, man. There's so
Because
many.
it makes us sad now.
It's
yeah,
true.
yeah.
But yeah,
But
like
no, but he shaped like how my sense of humor was. It was really like, sorry, I'm bringing us back to a conversation, but
that's
like
fine.
I'd hear him in interviews talk about how, I think the way he put it was like legal insanity or something like that, and like I resonated with that so much of just like how my brain works and how jokes come to me. He just had the courage to say whatever the jokes were, though. Whereas for me, it's like I think of something and I'm like, "Well, we're gonna shove that way down here," and
Yeah, and never gonna talk about that
hear,
again. Yeah.
Yeah.
And no one's ever gonna hear that because for me, it's like I just feel like it wouldn't come off the right way if I said stuff.
Mm.
So yeah, I just kind of a lot of my comedy stays internal,
Just bury it deep.
very
down.
deep. A couple. I think it was in my last week of work at Sunrise. I was wearing a Slipknot shirt that had an outline of a goat on it, just like a silhouette of a goat, and we had a question mark sticky note just chilling on the cupboard or on the counter, and I pick it up, I look at it, and I slap it on my chest, and I'm like, "Who's that Pokemon?" And I was told to leave the store very aggressively. I thought it was hilarious.
Not surprising. They're like, get the hell out of here.
So good.
Who's that
Ah.
Pokemon?
And with that, where can they find this Pokemon? Pokemon man, where can the good people find you?
They can find me at Ethan R. Hill on Instagram. You can find me at Ethan R. Hill on YouTube. And you can also find mine and Prosper's feature film, Damned Rights, on realhouse.org. You can rent it, you can download it, you can stream it, you can buy it, all that fun stuff.
Cool.
And our movie is kind of funny too, in more of a pathetic, sad way, but it's funny.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Prosser, where can the good people find you, good sir?
You can find me on Instagram at thatjprosser. You can find my YouTube channel under Jesse Prosser on YouTube. I got a couple short films on there. Check them out. And then, like Ethan said, go to realhouse.org and you can find our feature film, Damned Rights, and give it a rent, give it a buy, see what you think. Good stuff.
Cool, man. Cool. And you can find me. You can find me at GK Radio Man
Didgeridoo's back.
on Twitter. And then you can also check out my other podcasts when I'm not falling asleep. I don't know. I'm so tired today, man. I'm so tired.
Jeez.
Just like,
Oh, that's why he's ending the podcast.
it's like
is 'cause
gonna
he's
take a
getting
nap.
sleepy.
So
I get-
Not that he
yes,
wants to-
I'm
he doesn't wanna
ending the
talk to us
podcast.
anymore.
Yes, I'm
so
ending it.
tired.
We could have kept
I'm
talking
in.
about comedy for another 3 hours, and he's like, "Oh no, it's nap time, guys. Time for me to go to bed."
Okay, you guys record for another 3 hours. I'll see you guys later. I need to go get some food.
Okay, thanks.
I need
Okay,
to go
thanks,
eat.
bye.
Yeah, Phil
It's
is-
okay, Matt. We had better views without you anyway. We didn't have better views without you, Matt.
Your one episode did pretty good. It's not too bad.
We got what, 3 whole views?
No, the one before that, it was pretty good.
I don't think so, Matt. I think we got like maybe 5 views the entire time you were gone.
Yeah, maybe.
The people missed you.
I don't know. Anyway, if you want to come check out my other podcast, Gaming Night Radio, you can find it on any of your podcast apps. It's a fun time to talk about gaming, the best of gaming, but also calling out the worst. I am going to go take a nap. I'm going to go have some supper. And then I'm going to record my other podcast. It's a very busy day of recording. So, with that, ladies and gentlemen, have a good night. Have a good day. Wherever we find you, we will see you all next time for another episode of A Feast of Films. I'm Matt Ayalew. With me, as always, is...
Ethan R. Hill.
And with him is...
Jesse Prosser.
Yeah, we did it. See you guys next week. So long.
Bye-bye.
Toodaloo.
Woohoo. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.